Hello, everyone, to the Mike Pick Show, the show where I don't actually do what the show suggests. On today's show, we have the one, the only, Rob Sikky. What's your last name?
Sakires.
Sakires.
Yeah.
Of course, I knew what it was. I'm terrible with names. I'm like, okay, Sakires.
It's funny you mention that because there was a few guys this year in the Gators that came to practice, and they're like looking for Robbie, and they never actually knew me by name, so I basically just went up and, you may as well just call me Sikky right away.
Yeah.
They don't ask why or where it came from, but I kind of tell them. The infamous Ryan Belrose. When I came on the team in 2004, he basically couldn't pronounce my last name, I believe, and so I don't know how he got Sikky out of Sakires, but you know what? I ran with it, and
not the worst.
I think a lot of people in the league were okay with it until I opened my mouth, and you shit talk a little bit, and so it traveled a little bit, but yeah, it's been all right.
Okay. Yeah, because when I met you, it just that's Sikky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of shit talking.
Yep.
So you're from Saskatchewan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So who produces the better? Oh.
I don't need that.
Okay. We'll just do Anyway, so Alberta, Saskatchewan.
Yep.
Who produces the better football players?
I think now, obviously, there's not a lot to do in Saskatchewan unless you grew up there, and kind of take, a bit of the lake life in the summer and the very harsh winters. But yeah, they actually, in fact, have the second most lakes in Canada.
Wow.
So, but they're way past Saskatoon, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I didn't venture up there too much. But yeah, I think Alberta has done really well as far as coaching, recruiting, the AFL, basically from minor football up, even especially Airdrie. When I got to shout out John Scratch and a lot of guys out there, Chris Glass, they basically have really grown that community football, and it's grown. And the fact that even the little towns like Ken Fournier out in Drum, yeah, it's amazing how football's grown in Alberta now. And I will have to say, biasly, Saskatchewan, obviously, but I think it's really almost neck and neck now.
Oh yeah, of course, Saskatchewan. It's all big pride into the Riders. That's all they got.
Yeah, it's a harsh reality most years, especially growing up. I was bred into it. Not a lot of people know, but my grandfather played a exhibition game with the Regina Rough Riders in 1947. So I think that's kind of where it started. Obviously, my dad, growing up, a big George Reed fan. My uncle playing football too, here in Calgary with the Calgary Mohawks, and also growing up in Saskatchewan. I think that's where it all started. So basically, I think I attended my first Rough Rider game when I was literally 2 years old. My mom wasn't happy with my dad taking me that young, but
why not?
Yeah, I look back at the photos, and you know what? Like, I'm very thankful. I've had a very good support staff from my especially family, number one, pushing me and allowing me to fulfill a dream of playing in the CFL at some point. I knew the odds were against me, obviously, a little bit, but if I look back at anything, I went further than I did. And, I've had a great support cast all the way through, from family, friends, coaches. There's so many people at when I'm done playing, if there's a card big enough to say thank you, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's the thing with like trying for your dream. You just never know. Plus, along the way, you meet new people, you build those connections.
Yep.
Like, a lot of people I've met, I never thought I would.
Yeah, it's the real kicker and realization is being Canadian. We are tough, even up playing in the CFL or trying out in the CFL, because there's so many people, and the states coming up, and rightfully so. They want guys on the roster that can provide leadership, provide the winning source, provide the athleticism. So there's so many to pick from, and I think in that aspect, at least guys like Trey Ford and a lot of guys are coming through the ranks now, and obviously it is nice seeing CFL branded players born in Canada, basically in the NFL now too.
Oh yeah, which is great. Speaking of your football journey, I do have to change this question a little bit.
Yep.
So, started in Saskatchewan. How far did you get with your football career?
I had early stints. Like it was really nice. Basically, it started when I was 10 years old. Not a lot of people know this, but I actually moved from Calgary at a really, really young age. I was 7 years old. And basically when me and my brother got out of the vehicle, probably around 3:00 that afternoon, I'll never forget, it was a June evening, and we got sent right to football practice. So it was a really quick learning process. But, when I was 8 years old, we had guys like Jason Claremont on my team and guys to lead by example. And now you see a few of my minor football coaches have come up the ranks in Regina, and it's really nice to see them succeeding with the Regina Rams or the Regina Thunder, or being coach of the year in Regina minor football. So it really, it's really, really awesome that, you see your old coaches,
even teammates, is how far they go with their careers.
Yeah, it's very true. Like, I really believe that football teaches you a lot of man skills and just overall life skills, and people don't really realize that, I think, coming in. But you learn to lead, and you learn to maybe not lead, depending on your skill set. But yeah, it's been good.
I've noticed how fragile people are. So, like, I had a friend who broke her ankle, and she's like, "Oh, I've been like in a boot for a year and stuff like that." But when I think of like my injuries, I'm like, I'm usually up and about in like a month or so.
Yeah, we're in a different decade or era. I think it comes with the territory too. Like there's a lot of no's and a lot of do nots anymore, opposed to really getting the message to kids and such. So has the game changed for the better? I think it's yes and no. Obviously, structurally, I think it's way better. There's so much social media, so much going on, especially the AFL podcasts, your podcasts. There's so many different ways of doing things. Like, I guess being older, I wish I could go back probably only 15 years, 10 years maybe, and have the social media thing. Like Huddle is a big thing.
Even the ID camps.
So yeah, just to give you an idea of how long I've been playing, like my first, when I sent tape to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, it was on a CD. So it's not too old, but I mean, it's
internet.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's the one thing I'm envious of.
Yeah,
you got the best.
Yeah, and
at least putting your name out there.
Like even there was a couple guys on the Gators this year that basically said, "Hey, nice strip, Sikky," and I'm like, "Drip? What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Look the way you're looking." I'm like, "Oh, that what you're talking about, drip?" Like, so I had to kind of sit in the locker room and say, "Okay, I get it now."
Cool.
Very cool. Swag. Yeah, swag. I know swag. Yeah.
Yeah. They were not that cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of, I guess that's being old. You've been in the league since 2004.
Yeah.
So since then till now, what can you say about the league's growth?
It's been great. Like I think it's unfortunate some teams really have a good plan, have a roll of money in the account, but sometimes it just doesn't work. It's sad to see teams like Medicine Hat drop off. They were really good to us, really good guys on and off the field. Lethbridge basically had a chance to get in the league, I think back in want to say 2010-ish, but I wish there was just other ways reaching out. And obviously I think, and I don't say unfortunately, but and nothing to do with men or women, but I sometimes wish we had the same exposure as the women.
Oh yeah.
I get it that they're playing a man's sport,
Yeah.
but at the same time, traveling to Winnipeg and getting all these sponsors and such, I think eventually with podcasts going on and guys, in the league like Rob Sherman, guys like Omari, guys like Kurt Holland are going to really, Glenn, like there's so many guys you can talk about that do the really, really behind the scenes stuff that actually is going to keep this league going for the better.
Oh yeah. I know Tej was trying to do a lot for the league.
And yes, Tej. Yeah. Can't forget Tej. Sorry, my man.
Of course, there's like road bumps along the way.
Yep.
But I do hope the league does get more sponsors. At least, because I find with this league, it helps guys grow and still play the game they love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you'll get young guys
who
didn't make the Colts and stuff like that. Like, oh, I can play for the AFL, get some tape, then go back.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like it's good exposure, and stuff like this is key because, again, everything's basically social media now. Yeah. So you can basically Google stuff now on a search and things come up, and it still frustrates me too, like that some people actually don't know our league exists. I go into work or I go into a restaurant or they see Calgary Gators or I'm in Saskatchewan and they're like, wow, I wish we had something like that.
Yeah. It would be cool for Saskatchewan to get that.
Yeah, I think Glenn, when he was in Lloydminster, actually tried to get teams going, and Brad Olin that played at U of S. But I think it came down to league insurance and a bunch of other stuff came up. So unfortunately, there's something to do with privatization with healthcare, or there was something going on. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't really get into the
goddamn insurance ruining everything.
Yeah.
All right. So as we keep this going, you have accomplished a lot in your career. One, can you name some of those accomplishments? And two, what keeps you going?
I think accomplishments like started again when I was young. Like I was never, blessed. Like there's so many players that are just there at the right moment, right team, right everything, or jump on teams to win a championship. You know who you are, but basically it just I think it started in just before high school, like bantam. I won a few championships. Social media wasn't a big thing back then. Yeah, hence the age. So,
yeah.
But yeah, even high school, like even when I was at Robert Usher in Regina, like guys like Jason Claremont, again, like I was lucky enough to, play with guys like that and lead and win championships. And it really molded, to have that toughness. And I think there's always a north end, south end difference in Regina. Obviously the south end is a bit better now. They still eat cake, and you know who we are too. But the cake eater kids. But it basically, and then the Rams system, I wasn't there long, but again with the Thunder, like there's just the way their structure is basically why they're so successful.
Okay.
I really believe that they bring in the proper coaches, and they're not soft on you. You can kind of tell teams that are still struggling with coaching staff, in the PFC and the BCFL and stuff. So it basically, I don't know what it is that is different. It's not a meat and potatoes thing in Saskatchewan, but there is a lot of tough farm kids that come out and
with Regina and I think it's the Hilltoppers or Saskatoon.
Yeah, Saskatoon.
They're always like on the top.
Well, Tom Sargent's been there. It seems like since 1970, but I mean, again, guys like Frank McChrystal, Tom Sargent, Scott McCauley in Regina. I'm name dropping, I know, but I mean, they were built to be like lead, and it was so nice because you learn. And Davin Cavisto is a guy that was really big with my minor football growing up from Pee Wee. He followed me to Bantam, and then he was my high school coach, and then he was at Regina Thunder. And so guys like that really molded me. And I'm not kissing ass or anything, but I mean, they really made me who I am today, actually, as a player. So
I was going to say, besides like winning championships and stuff, it's more how it's molded you into the man you are today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just, and I can't forget the Wolfpack.
What keeps you going?
Keeps me going. I think it's the young guys. I think it's. I think also it's the drive. Again, one of my good coaches, Todd Reed, back in, I can't remember. It's amazing how I remember all these names, but I mean, Todd actually was in grade 9, and he was like the winningest coach at Robert Usher.
Yep.
And so he basically told me, we were sitting down one day after, one-on-ones were up and above, and I was on the sidelines waiting to go in and as a DB, and he goes, your mind will let you know. Yep. Your body will never let you know. And I'm like, okay. I really, that's really stuck with me. And I think you see guys in the league that are kind of dropping off now because their mind isn't in line with their body. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, is the guys coming up and being competitive and still having that drive. And I think the fact that my mind and my body are pretty much still in sync, I think that's what keeps me going. So yeah,
that's good. Yeah, because my body's like messed up. Well, it's not messed up, but it's like that could be better.
Well, I think, and again, respect to guys like Oren and Cassie Donoff and yourself and others, so many great receivers. It's a different beast being a receiver.
Yeah.
And when O linemen you see like in a mall or see him at the gym, it's like, hey man, you thinking of coming out? And he's like, no, Sikky, I'm done. I've been done a while. And I'm like, I get it, because you're in the trenches. I'm just that DB, that doesn't hit a guy in the chest, because I was smart enough, and I was taught at a young age to kind of hit below the thigh pad.
For you,
or
even lower,
as low as the shoelaces at times. Yeah. So if I'm getting the black pellets in my eyes, then I'm pretty low.
But hey, if they go down, they go down.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So going on to a more serious note.
Okay.
Of course, everyone in their career deals with a difficult situation. What was yours, if you want to tell it, and how do you deal with it? You just got out of it.
I think obviously, and again, I'm not a heavy God person, but I know he's looking after me upstairs. And I think ultimately, after 30 some years of football, I should have, broken fingers and broken legs, and I got to find some, knock on wood, after this session here. But I mean, the only thing I've ever done that was really a struggle for me was when I tore my Achilles at the free agent camp with Saskatchewan. And it's kind of weird how it happened so quickly. But ultimately, I'm glad it happened there, because I had amazing doctors, and it seemed so long ago, but guys will say you haven't been the same, and you haven't done this and haven't done that. But you know what? There's always going to be someone that is going to be poking their nose on social media. Prime example, guys last year saying our secondary was kind of old and weak, and and rightfully so, they were pretty much bang on. They missed a few guys, like both our starting corners, that were stateside and stuff. But yeah, it's just things like that. You hear things through the vine and it honestly keeps you motivated.
Yeah, in terms of injuries, you've been pretty healthy.
Yeah, I've had the odd the odd bump and bruise, but I mean, again, it's a different beast when you're playing linebacker.
Yeah.
I look at guys like Gary Wilson played at U of S, became really good friends. It's a shout out Gary, but yeah, it basically guys like that say, "Oh, I can't do it anymore, and I can't do this," but I get it because they're in the scrums all the time, and it's a little easier for secondary guys to last a bit longer.
True.
So
I've been in a few of those scrums.
Yeah.
Not willingly.
No,
but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why they say a corner's on his island, and we're just out there doing our thing, and it's just I feel for a lot of guys that can't walk properly, and like even when Keon Raymond was our coach in 2019, like his finger is basically bent like the capital L.
Oh yeah, just like
and I was like,
oh,
yeah, I was like, Coach. He's like, I know I should have got fixed. I'm like, you say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just things like that kind of make you want to retire eventually. So yeah.
Well, I think now I don't think many people's fingers are going to be bent that way, because I jammed all my fingers.
Yeah.
I fractured my hand, and it's still pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's another thing I've never experienced. I've been pretty damn lucky. So
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
All right. So from the downside to the funnier side, can you name one of the funniest stories in your career?
I think obviously one of the.
Or you remember? Probably a few.
It's got to be the rookie initiations with the Gators and the Wolfpack. The Wolfpack had one of the most.
Which year?
It was so set up properly. It's almost like it was a small skit out of a movie. So Daryl and Rob ball game basically literally had everything set up. So basically 04, they, I don't know if it's legal now, but I mean,
probably not.
Yeah, so I should have left their names out, but the undisclosed.
They'll be
but
fine.
Yeah, it's basically
they won't get charged.
Tying your clothes up and getting you to the back of the bus naked, and luckily my rookie year, there was a lot of DBs, thank God, not a lot of linemen, so that bus bathroom is very small, and it was about 40 degrees coming back from Lloydminster, and Rob Sherman had the beer Lucky Lager that he left out in the cold and let it sit in the summer, and then it kind of basically changed seasons, and and then the skit, and then from the shot of Jim Beam, even Joey Whelan, like just giving you booze as a rookie, and having you sit up. And I remember, I'll never forget actually, because he was in our room and he basically said, "You gotta drink this whole bottle of Jägermeister before you go to bed." And I'm like,
"Oh my god!"
All right. So I was never so sick on a bus ride home. I think I had a bite of a cheeseburger at Dairy Queen when we stopped, and I slept all the way to Calgary. So but yeah, there's so many. Like even Julius, my Saskatchewan gig with taco in a bag. No one really knew what it was, so they thought I was bringing him Doritos, and he got a handful of cheese when he was in bed. So there's just little things like that you remember, and it's nice reminiscing with guys that you see that are part of the rookie nights and everything that way.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have to do a shot from like the belly button?
Yes, the belly button shot. I in fact, I think I wasn't a rookie. I just did it because the rookies were being a bit soft. Yeah, the rookies were being a bit soft when it came around. So I think it was one of the linemen for the Wolfpack.
It's always a lineman.
God, it was a hairy belly button. But I was maybe, a few beers in, and I did my part. So
yeah, we had, when I started in 2015, we had the same initiation.
Yeah.
The only difference is we weren't completely naked. We were just in our underwear into the bathroom.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but at least it wasn't like skin on skin.
Well, with social media now, you just don't know what's going to get out that shouldn't. So
Yeah,
you got to be careful. And
but I'm guessing it doesn't. They don't do that now. I don't know. I haven't been with the pack for a while, so
yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's toned down a little bit. And I think what's really weird now is a lot of rookies basically have this 5-year-old mentality. And I mean, in a nice way, guys. Like, basically, it's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't drink beer. It's like, I just seen you drunk last weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe like the initiation part is fine as long as it's not like shaving someone's head.
Yeah.
We used to do that. Like, we shaved a guy's eyebrows one time, and it just, things were different, obviously, back in 04, 05, 06. But it started getting a bit more calm in 2013, I think. And from now, especially with cell phones and such. But again, you know what? Do your part.
Yeah, it's not malicious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's malicious.
Yeah, it's not as bad. Like, when I was at Rams camp and stuff, and in Regina, like, you hear stories that shouldn't even be told now. So it's just guys that played in the 80s and stuff. It's just,
oh yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, there's like,
that's why there's laws about that now.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, speaking of the pack and the Gators, so we've gone from the pack to the Gators, to the pack, and finally to the Gators.
Yeah.
Explain how that situation is. Well, from the pack to the Gators, the final one, and how your time with pack in general. So Gator experience, pack experience.
The pack experience obviously was, Kurt actually was joking last year at one of the games we went to watch against Wolfpack and Airdrie. We had that barbecue, and he looked me right in the eye, and he's like, "Sikky, you're Wolfpack for life, aren't you?" And I'm like, how dare you say that, right? Because I'm like, come on, man. So I wouldn't say yes, but I do owe them so much. Like, when I started, my first start actually was in the AFL final against Edmonton. I got thrown in. Kenny Watt, one of the guys from UFC, got hurt late in the fourth quarter with like 11 minutes left, and they're like, "You're going in." I'm like, "Oh my god." Safety. So I'm like, okay, I did fine, did my thing, and we won. But the pack, I owe them a lot. Like, I can't say it enough. They basically groomed me and allowed me to start and then make mistakes up until now. As the guys got older, they notice, and I'll own things when I'm not playing well. But I will say, I had a bit of struggle in 2022, and I owned it and went back in. And guys, that's the thing about leadership. We had guys on that team still, and still on the team now, that allowed you to make a mistake or two and still kind of collect your thoughts on the sidelines and come back in. And but yeah, I can't say enough about the Wolfpack as far as winning. Like, how many guys go to the AFL final their first like 5 seasons? It was something I've never seen. And I'm very lucky. And Dave Cuthbertson actually talked to me about that last year, and God, the guy's like Tom Brady, and just so much swag, and I guess drip, right?
Yeah.
So it just, the guys the ultimate teammate. Like, we had our battles and stuff, and he talked a lot in 2019 with his cowboy hat and number 0 and saying this and that. But
I feel like he talks a lot all the time.
You know what though? Like, you need that energy, and I think people don't realize, like, it's amazing how much knowledge and everything he knows, and he's very soft spoken actually sometimes, but when he's on the field, that's his go-to. And then you can tell he's in his niche. And being his teammate this year, like, I can't say enough. There was so many unsung guys this year that I got to play with, last season. But with the Wolfpack too, like, you get to know guys, and once you're given that chance, it's basically like sink or swim. And so I know guys now pay their fees and complain they don't play, but
Yeah.
Tom Luzzy said it back in '07, and you can't say it anymore because parents get involved at a certain age.
Yeah.
And it's like your kid ain't playing because he's not that good. And the game has really changed that way as far as it's not all about winning. But if you really go into a game prepared to lose or just have fun, it's maybe I'm built different. Maybe there's guys that there's a few guys with the pack. They're like, I'm just here for fun. And I'm like, I don't really want that guy playing beside me. So
like, yeah, it's fun, but you still have to bring that competitive.
Yeah, so it just it rubs you the wrong way, and then you're babysitting. But at day's end, I got to know a lot of those guys off the field, and you understand that they are actually trying. So as I've gotten older, I think I've really taken a step back to understand the game a bit more. And you don't become a coach in full, but I mean, if you see something and you try and correct someone's feet, or if you think someone, just don't correct them to the point where you're actually frustrating them.
Oh yeah.
So they've had a million coaches and they're just playing AFL now. And if they've come from a specific system or anything, but if they're right out of high school and they're still kind of learning, and I think you can help them a little bit. I mean, people don't like to be coached at this level now. So
like, who the hell are you?
Yeah, it's weird because but act like there's so many good people though that actually can get a message across. Like Kurt might be 5'8", I'll say 5'9" to be nice, but I mean, man, he's got that ginger mentality, bro. It's just, but he's so direct, he's so calming, and that's actually why I went back to the Gators, because it wasn't just about the winning. It's about the behind the scenes people. It's about game day. It's about, everything like that made it just that much more, I guess, fun and competitive at the same time.
I know what you mean, because like I've been with the pack my whole career until last season, and it was like night and day between teams.
Yep.
Okay, I have every practice I have to perform. I have to give it my all. Of course, I didn't get to start, and I kind of knew that going into the season, but it was still like, hey, no matter what, be ready because you never know.
Yeah, and being, with the pack as long as I am, do I feel bad for them? Yes. You never want to see ever a team that accomplished ever, fold. So,
and luckily they didn't.
Yeah, so they've had a few rough years, but I think with Amari being involved and Sherman still being there and stuff, I think they're headed in the right direction. Guys, obviously with it maybe being my last year, probably, I'm not sure, but asked if I'd come back. Would I want to? Maybe, but I mean, now I've kind of set the bar that I've talked to Kurt, and Kurt's always good about reaching out to players after the season, and after you win, you get that kind of taste in your mouth for more, and it just knowing what you're getting before even, like, it's February and there's emails being sent out and there's direction, and it's something that's really nice, I guess, knowing, and a little more calming, that you don't have to look after a lot of stuff. And like, I'm not gonna lie, and it's not about kissing ass to Kurt, but I mean, if everyone could run the ship like Kurt or Glenn or guys like that, and that's how the Wolf Pack was, and I'm sure they'll get there back there. But I mean, yeah, it's a nice calming. I can just play football again. Is more or less.
Not worry about all the
hoopla.
Of it,
yes.
The drama.
You know what? Every team's got drama. We had our own little nitpicks last year, but it's because of ego, and it's because Kurt's message basically can get across, but it's who's willing to listen.
Oh, yeah.
So that's with any team is Kurt can sit you down or Rob Sherman can sit you down and say, look, we expect this. But at the same time, there's guys that just aren't listening, like Smokes is talking to another lineman. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But it just, but I guess in retrospect, like when people were supposed to listen, there's probably about 98% of them did. And that's the difference between teams that are going to win and teams that are kind of just, in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So the Pack have never been a real shitty team. They always compete. And like, I remember still 2023, like Cold Lake guys even came up to us and, yeah, this is against a knock against Airdrie, and I mean it in the nicest way. But yeah, they actually came up to us after this championship game against Airdrie and said, "I wish we would have played you."
Yeah.
That's nothing against Airdrie, but I mean, it's how and who's on that roster that are willing to buy in and trust the process.
Yeah, that's a big thing. So with how you play DB, of course, being a big shit talker in the past. Well, when I met you, you're a huge shit talker. But now you've toned it down. Why did you tone it down? And why did you ever shit talk me in practice?
You know what? You kind of pick your spots, and obviously I think with the game changing a lot, there's only specific things you can say to an opposing player.
Oh, yeah.
But at day's end, I think, and I wish I would have taken a more initiative when I was younger too, is because you don't realize that guy you were shit talking could be your teammate the next season. So now I basically, like even Dave Cupferson, shit talker, big time shit talker. Love it. Love the guy to death. But at the same time, I didn't like him in 2019. But in 2020, when he was in Cold Lake, or 2021, sorry, I actually went in and talked to him as like we were buds. And so that really changed my mind about, like, my God, this guy could be my teammate one day.
Okay.
So little things like that, I think, I wouldn't say shut me up, but again, too, with
like tone it down.
What do you call them now? Short people or little people, or what's the term?
The right way is to call it short kings.
So Red Deer has a guy that I was covering 2 years ago, and so he's 5'4" or 5'5", maybe on a good day with his cleats, maybe 5'6". Covering him, I said, all day midget. So yes, that's the wrong term. The referee kind of warned me and said, next one you're out. But as me, Sikky, pushing the envelope, you come up and just say, hey, it's okay, little guy.
Yeah.
And the referee's like, 3, what did I just say? And I'm like, hey, I didn't say anything wrong with him. So, but yeah, just little things like that. And I think the way the game, again, has changed for a DB, I wouldn't say I'm struggling, but I really get agitated faster, and ball game would for sure know that, because I was always agitated a lot. And even the first practice with the Gators, like, things, I know it's day one, and Alex Isaac came up and he's like, Sikky, it's day one. And I'm like, dude, I know it's day one, but I always have a but I have to throw in. Isaac's probably right, and just to calm down. But I mean, that's always my mentality, is go, go, go. And when you've been in the league for 50 years, as
Alrighty, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. So, we were talking about practice and shit talking. We will change it up a little bit.
Okay.
We're still talking about shit talking because it's a lot of fun. So, since you've been in the league since the test of time, which team did you hate playing the most? Like for me, I always hated the Irish, just because full-pack Irish rivalry. You're fine now, Irish.
Yeah,
but
yeah, probably, Airdrie. Everything's fine now, but I mean, just what went down in 2014. A lot of people don't know, but you're welcome to ask at any time. But yeah, I think with them being so close to Calgary, obviously, and guys jumping ship, even the last few seasons, but rightfully so. They go to a program that has a bit more structure, and um, I can't lie, I did it myself. It makes things a lot easier, and some of the guys lived in Airdrie at the time, so
that makes sense.
it made a lot of sense. But the team if the next question is who I loved playing against, it would be probably Grand Prairie.
Okay.
For some reason, ever since that 2011 game against Simon Fowle and going up there, and they bought national championship shirts and were planning to beat us apparently, and it didn't go very well. Daryl put up 44 points and they put up 11. So
I wonder if they do any of those shirts to like Africa or something.
we actually wanted to buy them at one of the pubs in GP after the game, and they just wanted to fight. So it it didn't go too well. But yeah, don't ever plan ahead to at least that far.
It never goes well.
Yeah.
I love those though.
Yeah, I love the GP guys though. Like at day's end now, even back then, they're a good group of guys. They always have, cold sodas in your locker room after the game up there. And the nice thing is now, especially with Edge running it, they're literally brothers. And they know, or most know that most of us work Monday. And don't have to get injured, don't want to get injured and such. So it there has been a new very good respect. And the league basically has come a long way that way. It always has been respectful, but again, it's become so competitive, and teams bringing in players or finding new blood and really good athletic guys has really pushed a lot of those, as Danny Warwick would say, skids off each team in the league now. True. Yeah. So
it's like, even for those skids, it's like, okay, there's a team out there.
Yeah.
But they might be garbage.
Yep, exactly. That's where they belong.
So like, you can't get better, but you're gonna get the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah, and they know they're gonna try and hurt you. And you know what? It's heat of the moment stuff too. Like when I don't know how many guys in their career have been down 98-0. It's happened to me once with the Pack, and so
that's part of that.
It's tough. Like but at day's end, you should have that mindset not to hurt someone. It's just not needed, and it just causes more trouble long term.
Yeah,
and your reputation obviously too.
True, because guys won't want to play with you or want you on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good. Okay, so coming to an end, and your career coming to an end, closer than starting. Who would you like to thank for your career, and who's been there for you?
I knew this was coming, but I think number one, my parents, just allowing me to, especially at a young age, learning and my parents were never grilling us about, you got to do better, you got to do better, you got to do this and that. And that's what's really changed now with the coaching, is the parents are coming on the field and saying, why is my kid playing and such. So it's nothing against that, but parents, stay off. That's why there's coaches. They coach. Stay off the field and let us do our job. So that's the biggest hurdle now. But as far as thank you, it's no different than guys I said earlier. Like, there's so many, and if I had a thank you card for all the guys, like, if I could name a few, it'd be Bob Thomas, it'd be Mark Becker, it'd be Davin Cavisto, Gene Scott, because again, Frank McChrystal, Randy Shaw, like there were so many, and even Daryl, and even Kurt, like they teach you little things along your way, and they really want to make you better. And I think that's what it is about at the end of the day. And some guys take things the wrong way because they don't like being told and they think they're doing it the right way. But at least listen. And I think, listening's half the battle. And I think if you do that, you're going to succeed really. And it's a very big, it really shows what kind of person you are in life. If you can't listen, then it's going to obviously show on the field as well.
Yeah, that's the last thing you need while you're playing is be that liability.
That's why you yell check. If I could yell check at where I work, oh my God, I'd be in heaven.
True. Check. Oh.
Yeah,
there might
exactly.
Be checks in here.
I know. That's exactly it.
So, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. Of
course, I don't know how many episodes you've seen, but I usually have like a dumb question at the start. I skipped it this time.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a ridiculous gift.
Okay.
So being a Riders fan,
okay,
I got you one of these.
Oh, baby. The watermelon. Love it. Rocking it. That is awesome. Thanks, my man.
No problem. Yeah,
that is great.
The game for the Canada Day.
Beauty.
Like, I have to buy a chain.
Kurt, I'm going to have this on the sideline. So just letting you know.
I think the Gators need one.
They do. Absolutely. I'll leave it. Yeah, I'll leave that up.
Yeah, they can do it.
Absolutely.
I'm not buying you guys a chain.
No.
I'm poor.
No, it's good. Kurt's got all that swag and drip already looked after. So
yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully like, subscribe. I need 25 subscribers. I'm on 24, god damn it.
We will get that after this.
I keep looking like every day. I'm like, come on, god damn it.
Everyone loves number 3. Everyone's gonna say obviously something. I know it's coming. So social media, let it out. Absolutely.
So yeah. Thank you, everyone.